Hi, I'm Franki. Welcome to Business on the Rise. This podcast is your playbook to learn everything you need to know to launch, grow, and fund your brand. Today, I'm talking to Dr. Nisha and Dr. Anjalee from Lyfe Clinic. The health industry plays a very important role, especially today. It's a service to not only care about patients, but it's saving lives. I was so honored to have interviewed these two strong women who share not only a special friendship with one another, and that supersedes any form of business success in my books. So let's hear it from Dr. Anjalee and Dr. Nisha. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Dr. Nisha.
Good morning.
Dr. Anjalee.
Good morning, Franki.
So just to give our audience a bit of context, you're both representing Lyfe Clinic.
Yep.
You have two different roles, although you're both doctors. You head the GP side and you head the aesthetic side of the clinic.
Correct.
So there's two business units under Lyfe Clinic. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Just to let you know, I've always been terrified of doctors, terrified of clinic and hospitals. And I think a lot of the populations feel the same way. So just letting you know, by the fact that you're both here, I'm actually trying to get rid of some of these fears. So it's purely for selfish reasons.
Firstly, how terrifying do we look?
Yeah, and why?
Terrifying. Terrifying. Really.
I hope by the end of this you won't be terrified of us anymore.
Well, let's see. It depends how you behave. So anyway, just to kind of introduce yourselves, maybe tell us, a little bit more of your background, how you started medicine. Were you always interested in medicine when you were growing up? Did you say, I want to become a doctor? I mean, if I had said that, my parents would go, yes. But nah, didn't happen. Did that happen to you both?
I really wanted to do medicine from the start, but I think my parents were, please God, no.
Really?
Yeah. So it was
so
the
that's
other way
like
around.
the opposite.
Yeah,
Most
yep.
Asian families are like, you got to be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant, dude.
Oh, not my mother. She
Oh,
was
yes,
like,
sir.
you're going to get married and have children. You need to be spending time with the kids. So be a teacher.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she wasn't really pleased.
Okay.
But I did it anyway. And I'm still at it. And she's
Okay.
still telling me you need to spend time with the kids. Don't win.
But why did you want to do medicine? How could you be so sure when
don't
you were
know.
that young?
I
Did
don't
you
know.
did you see
I
a
think
movie?
I just grew up thinking, seems like a nice job. You could help people. It just seemed something I wanted to do, and it just kind of moved along. And yeah,
You're just a good person. You're just a better person
I think
than
so.
all of us.
I think so.
Damn it. Dr. Anjalee.
No, I think I have a very similar story. And in fact, my mom was a med student when she met my dad, and she couldn't complete her medical degree. So she kind of put it in my ear, since I was a child. But it wasn't something that I always thought about. Anyway, came to finishing HSC in New Zealand, and then I was bumming around, and I thought, oh, okay, let me just give it a go, right? Let me just do pre-med and see if I like it. And my dad was really hoping that I would hate it, but I actually liked it. And then, so I said to him, I want to, go ahead and do my degree in medicine. And he didn't speak to me for 3 months, actually. So he thought that it was the worst idea. He thought that I was very creative and that was just going to kill my vibe. And I wasn't going to be able to have time with the family and be able to do all those things. And he didn't want me to do it at all. So, but I went ahead and did it, and I love it. I really am happy with what I'm doing, and I think they see it now and they appreciate it, and especially in the field that I am, because I get to be creative anyway. So yeah, it's just kind of a mix of both worlds.
So two very different tones. Like your mom is still a little bit upset with you, but your parents are finally settled and good.
I mean, they wish I would have more time for them, but especially, with the business and stuff. But yeah, I think it's become a beneficial kind of thing for them because they, my dad's not well, so it's kind of helped out in a way. Me being a doctor, it's been good.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about the journey to the business. So you graduated, and I know it takes a long time to do medicine, like a long time. And then you started practicing in different hospitals first. You needed to do your hours, and then you're able to start your own business, or you want to go back to clinics and hospitals. How did that journey start with the both of you? And you guys are friends.
We were friends, yes. And then we did housemanship in Sramban Hospital together.
So that's where you met?
Yes.
Okay.
We met again. I
Okay.
mean, we completed medical school. I left. I'm a year older. So then I left earlier and then she joined us. And it so happened that we ended up in Sramban Hospital. Right. And then we eventually also did many postings together. And I mean, even then, there was no inclination of let's do something together. No, not at all. I think 4 or 5 years went on. Yeah. And then I left to University Malaya and she went to Port Dickson. And then I came back and actually, I don't know how this started. We saw a place and then...
No, I think we were just talking about, doing something together.
And how long ago was this?
We started our business...
Thinking about it,
2013
maybe?
2012 we started.
So we would have thought about 20...
Maybe 2010, 2011. And I was working somewhere else and I wasn't really happy where I was. I used to do locums in her clinic sometimes, and then we would catch up.
You used to do what,
Locum,
sorry? What's that?
just to cover the clinic on the days that maybe she wants, like she was not there. Yeah,
right.
Correct. Yeah. And then we got talking and we were like, it'd be really good if we start something together because I'm working for someone else and I'm investing all my time and effort into someone else's business. I could do that for something that we had together, right? We could invest in ourselves pretty much. And then Nisha was like, why not? Let's look into it and let's come in together, maybe collaborate the two specialities, the GP practice together with the cosmetic dermatology and do something together. We got another friend on board as well initially, who's a cardiologist, and he came on board initially. So it was really just like a fun project, really. Yeah, we didn't really think it was going to,
consume us.
Right.
Yeah, but we wanted to do something which we felt happy going to work at every day.
Yeah.
Right? We wanted to do something where it was ours. Like our blood and sweat went into something that was ours and not someone else's,
Yeah.
And we could see and reap the benefits of it. And actually, I think what started us was more like we wanted to give our patients the best. We didn't want to compromise on what the medications, the treatments, the way that we were treating them or the services that we were providing them. I think that's what we felt really irked about when we worked with other people. Right. And we wanted to change that and do something different. So that's how we started, really.
So did you see something back in the days when you were doing your hours for different clinics, different hospitals? You saw something that you didn't really like or you thought that can be improved, and which sort of led you to create Lyfe Clinic because you wanted a change.
Correct, yeah.
And you wanted something better.
Yeah, definitely.
Was there any, how scary was it? I mean, on a personal basis, like that's your funds, your time, your everything.
Yep.
It's a huge investment and it's scary, right? To start a business.
It is scary.
But let alone a clinic. You're dealing with people's lives. Like we just, we do fashion. We don't save lives.
I mean, I think any business is scary when you first start it, right? But then but we had, for me at least, I had a lot of support. I had her, that was the biggest thing. I had a lot of support, and Nisha had already started a clinic a couple of years before that. So she had quite a lot of experience in terms of starting a clinic and, what we needed and licensing and all of that. But of course, we had, support from friends, we had support from family. So that was big as well. It was scary because the first couple of years, building your name, building your brand, getting people to walk through the doors, we would sit together and sometimes be like, oh my God, we only had 2 patients.
Right.
So,
Yeah, from 2 patients, then the couple of days after it's 5 patients, oh my God, you know what? We doubled. Although 5 is, whatever, but to us, it was wow, things like that. Small little things someone would write a review about us or things like that you wow, make your day.
what were some of the challenges back then when you started, and what were some of the roadblocks that you guys face? Obviously, it's now 2024, and you probably have different challenges now, having 3 clinics, right? Yeah. Tell me about the beginning challenges and roadblocks, and then we can talk about now.
Licensing is a problem then,
right?
And it's a problem now.
Really? Yeah. Tell me a bit more about the licensing. What kind of license?
For a clinic license, you need to fulfill many specifications, and it can be really weird specifications. From the building material to the size of your room to
The hallway.
to the
lighting.
and
right.
your
So it's very specific.
Yes, very.
Specific.
And like they would actually come in with a measuring tape and
right.
a 0.1. Or I mean something that you don't see, they would see differently.
Right.
And that would mean you take down the clinic and redo stuff back. Yeah.
Wow. And did you have to do that?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was back then, but you still face the same issues today.
Yeah,
Yes.
we did. I mean, we
Yes.
did 2 new clinics last year, and it was the same thing, right? Like having to go through it back to back between Tropicana, country club and resort, and Bangsa Village. It was the same thing. Like, they would walk in and be like, okay, door's not big enough. Okay, you can't have these kind of panelings on your furniture. Change everything up, and then 6 weeks later they walk in, and you've had to change everything, and it costs money and it costs time, and you can't start your clinic on time. So. There was a lot of things, a lot of challenges. I think last
And
year
you pay rental from day one, right?
Yeah,
and
of
this
course.
goes on for like 10, 12 months. And imagine paying rental for a lot of places.
So let's talk about funding a little bit now that you mentioned about cost of rental and the overall running of a business. I started very, very small, but again, I don't do what you do. So what sort of funding did you guys have? Was it personal funding? Did you take up a loan? Do you have investors, or did you invest in your personal money?
We started small. When we started small. It was personal funding. We took loans for sure. Aesthetic machines need a lot of money. But we didn't go big. Like we really started small, and we kind of like every couple of months invest into something new, but we didn't go wham bam. But then 2023, we had a little more money, and so then we were able to have our clinics a little more nicer and way nicer machines. And we had more staff, and I guess that's what development or how we grow.
Yeah. So you expanded, I remember last year, and you expanded pretty rapidly. You expanded into Tropicana Golf Club, and then recently the one in Bangsa Village.
Correct, yeah.
What was that like, from one clinic and all of a sudden going into 3 different clinics within a very short span of time?
Well, we still ask ourselves.
Personally,
Yeah.
what was that like for you and your family?
Yeah.
Remember my mom?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
2023 was all about that.
God, because I'm sure something's got to give, right? There's
yeah,
compromises.
And the thing is, we didn't only open 2 clinics. We opened a bar and restaurant, and we opened a hostel in Petaling Street as well last year. So it was kind of a crazy year for the both of us. And I mean, of course, in the other business, we have other partners too,
Sure.
which one of it is her husband. So as you can imagine, everybody's time was consumed with just operational issues, right? But yes, you're right. It took a lot of time away from our families. It took a lot of time away from our spouses. It wasn't easy trying to kind of manage 2 different types of businesses at the same time.
Yeah.
And financially, it was really difficult as well. It's not like, like Nisha said, Lyfe Clinic basically started from personal funding, and the only loans that we have ever taken is for the machines. It's not like we've taken, we don't have investors or other people coming in and putting money in us, because we want to do our own thing. We want to be able to run the show the way that we want to run it, right? But
that's important for you.
Yes, definitely, yes.
So it was very clear from the beginning that you didn't want investors' money.
No.
You didn't want somebody to come in and start dictating. Okay, so that's clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we have a goal, like how we want our business to run. We want to treat our staff a certain way. We want to treat our patients a certain way. So we have a goal, like, we don't want investors coming in and then it becomes very, money minded and we are looking at KPIs and we don't want all of that. We want to be able to give our best to our patients. And if it means, okay, this month we don't hit our target, that's okay, but we still have given our best, right? So last year was very crazy. It was difficult, but I think this year it's kind of like slowly improving. So
Last year was like, we're never opening another one again. And then now, maybe.
Today, I mean, even last week, we looked at each other and said, "Why the hell did we do this?"
Would you do it differently,
No.
knowing what you know now?
I mean, then, yes, you're like, why? But then today, no.
I think we did
In our
everything-
way.
Yeah, and we did it well. Like, I don't think like we ran into roadblocks or anything like that. We had really good people, coming to support us in terms of the, from the architecture to even our suppliers. They were so kind and so helpful, and just take the machine stock. Like, later we'll talk about it. We'll get the loan sorted out later. They were really nice. So. Yeah, we are really grateful because we actually have very good people in our lives. Yeah.
And we've got a great team at Lyfe as well.
Correct.
But I guess it's also a reflection on the both of you. You don't just attract goodness and kindness based on evil and based on non-kindness. If you weren't so kind, perhaps people will treat you differently. So there's something to be, I feel there's something to be said about that. We talk about energy, right? That you project. And it's really, brands are about the people at the end of the day. And it's the two.
Well, we'd like to think so. I mean, we're always trying to do our best. Honestly, like we always say at Lyfe, we are a family. We treat everyone like family. We want to grow as a family. We want to give everybody an opportunity to improve themselves and to gain knowledge. And at least when they take their next step, they're leaving with so much more, right? We always consider ourselves a family. So.
I see that. I see that in you, and I see that in you, and I see that, when I have been to your clinics, the way your team speaks, the way they are, the overall energy. And sometimes, like, I would ask you on the side on, hey, Angie, on WhatsApp, I have this thing. What can I do? And you are incredibly kind and generous, and you respond immediately and say, Franki, why don't you do this? Or do you have this in your cupboard? Maybe take this. And I mean, that I appreciate.
Oh, thank
so
you.
I'm not being biased here. I have seen it and I have felt it. Now, let's talk a little bit more about some of the services that you provide in the clinic. So on the GP side, that's quite clear, right? But maybe take us through a little bit more on some of the most common cases that you get when patients come in to you. I mean, I know I was one of that patient recently, and
The post-partying.
no, I don't party anymore. Like, I don't drink anymore. I'm really going very healthy. And then I got hit by a bug. And then, I've never had allergies. And then all of a sudden I had this big allergy and I was like, oh my God, what do I do?
Yeah, but just like that, I think there are a lot of people who are having a lot of, oh my God, what do I do now?
Yes.
I mean, since COVID and then now influenza, and some people just don't seem to be getting better. Maybe also because we don't take care of ourselves very much.
Yeah.
We don't eat as well. We don't exercise as well. And then comes perimenopause that I also go through right now.
Same.
All the symptoms and all the weird symptoms. So I guess that's a lot of things that come in now.
Yeah.
And so we do a lot of blood tests. We do a lot of allergy testings now. We treat chronic diseases like diabetes, hypertension. That's very common now.
Yes. That's common because of our lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Malaysia has great food, right? Like, how do you say no? And I mean, lots of people don't want to say no. And obesity is a big problem here as well. So heart disease is a big problem, diabetes, hypertension. So yes, we've got so many of these kind of cases coming in as well. So that's a big problem. And I mean, we don't always want to treat with medication, so we try and maybe do diet first.
Lifestyle changes.
Yeah, lifestyle changes.
So do you, when I go and see doctors, and I'm so afraid of doctors and clinics and hospitals, I get very, very anxious. But I'm also very aware that I know myself. I don't like any form of drugs. I don't even take paracetamols or Panadols when I get headaches or period pain. I just I will kind of get myself healthy-ish by, eating the right stuff, drinking a lot more water and getting some ginger tea and all of that. I'll make my own concoction. So in most doctors, I feel sometimes just want to stuff you with medicine. And I guess, I have seen and witnessed great doctors, but I have also seen and been with doctors that I just didn't feel was right for me. Just because their philosophy on things are just not as aligned as I'm. What's your advice for the audiences listening to this, when they are looking at their right doctor, the right clinic, the right hospital? What are some of the questions that they should be asking?
I think that was one of the reasons why we opened Lyfe Clinic, or we want to do something together, is that we were not here for the money.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you need money, but
Sure.
I mean, this was more of, we want to treat the patient because of the problem and not because, okay, you know what, if I start him on my bill today would be 300.
Yeah.
But instead of, maybe reading the patient, like you said, not everybody wants to take that Panadol.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to take that statins.
Yeah.
So we speak to the patient, we go through what they do, their family history maybe, and how open they are with medication, or how open are they to change their kind of lifestyle. Yes. And then if I feel I deal with a problem, then I usually refer them out to the hospital. So I'm not going to keep them because of the money. So I think that's the reason why we moved into Lyfe Clinic, because it was not about the money. So we talk to them. I mean, some people just want to be better. They just want the medication. Yes, I want it, but I don't want to change my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Then okay, let's start with something. But if you feel like you can change, or you don't want to be on medication, then let's do a lifestyle change, and then come back and then review it again, and then see how we go up from there.
And from the aesthetics clinic, and it's not just aesthetics, because when I think of aesthetics, I think of vanity, right? And I think of fillers and Botox and, all of those things. Not that I'm against it or anything, because I've been to your clinic and I've done Thermage, which was wonderful. I'd like to do it again because it's non-invasive, and I'm just a coward when it comes to any form of needling and stuff. But you are a dermatologist by profession as well, and you provide dermatological services. So allergies, eczemas, any form of skin diseases. Tell me a little bit more about that side of the...
So I think, like Nisha said, and this is where we work synergistically, right, with the GP practice, is because a lot of people come with allergies, they come with rashes, they come with, things, especially after COVID, there's a lot of weird things that are flaring up.
Really?
Yeah, so that's when, I get to see them, and then we'll be like, okay, let's take a swab, let's take a culture, or let's take a skin scraping. For example, if you get a patient coming in with a weird mole and, it's starting to itch, or it's, very painful, it's growing, it's bleeding, you take a biopsy. Yeah. So that's how we work in terms of trying to work synergistically with the GP clinic and also be able to treat certain skin diseases. But of course, like you said, we are also an aesthetic clinic, so we get a lot of acne, we get a lot of psoriasis. Yes. So those are all medical conditions. I always tell my patient who they walk in with acne and be like, oh yeah, I've been buying things off the counter, I've been trying things off the, on TikTok and stuff like that. But And I say to them, acne is like having diabetes. If you have diabetes, you take medication for it. You have acne, it's a medical condition. You need to take medication for it, right? It's not going to go away by using a serum that you see on TikTok and like everyone tells you that it's, it works amazingly. It doesn't, it's just going to make things worse in the long run.
So this is an important message here, because for all of us, like trying to get more information on, like my son at the moment has quite bad skin and he's very conscious about it. And I'm thinking, it's teenage hormones. It's going to pass. Right. Just don't touch it. Don't squeeze it. But you're saying like, well, maybe I should bring him over and get it tested and to see if he needs medication?
Yeah, or, different other types of topical antibiotics or topical solutions that we can put on this, or that he can take home to put on the skin, which is going to help treat that issue.
Yeah.
Just like you would any other medical condition, right? So similar to pigmentation, we have a lot of patients coming with pigmentation and they'll be like, oh yeah, my doctor said do pico, but do you know why do you have that pigmentation? Is it because it's hormones? Is it because, it's sun exposure, because you're not protecting your skin well enough? Or is it because you're on certain types of medication, long-term antibiotics, or something else that's causing that pigmentation? So this is when we have to come in and be doctors and not just treat you for your issue.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's how we want to be, and that's how we're different, I think, or want to be different anyway.
Well, that's my next question. Is that your unique points from other aesthetic clinics out there and any clinics out there, is that you are in harmony with both aspects?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're doctors, right?
First.
We are doctors first, and we want to do the best for our patients. So if they're coming in with a certain condition, we need to see what that condition is. Take full history. When did it start? What were the triggers? Did you see it in your family? Go through the same thing you would do as in any other condition. And then from there, look at the different options. For me, I like to give my patients options. I always tell them, okay, do you want something invasive? Do you want something non-invasive? I want something non-invasive. Okay, then these are the options. Here are the brochures. Go home, read about it. Get as much knowledge as you want. If you have a question, let me know. When you have decided, come back. So that way, the patient feels empowered. They feel like you're not pushing them to do something. They feel like, okay, I have the liberty and the power to make my own choice with proper advice. So then you feel like, okay, I'm doing this, for the right reasons, instead of just coming in just because you see a friend doing it, or you've seen it on social media, or you've seen it on TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want patients like that, because then they're either going to be unhappy or they're never going to come back.
Right.
And that's not what we're about. We want our patients to be happy, and we want them to come back because they're happy, right?
Yeah. Have you ever felt the need to turn down certain patients? Can you give me some examples?
Hi, doctor. You know what? I Googled this and I want Augmentin.
What's that?
It's an antibiotic.
Right.
So I have this problem and I want it. No, I don't think so.
Okay. So what do you say to them?
Some of them are rude.
Right.
Then I'll just politely decline and say that we don't usually do stuff like this. But if there's someone who's really open, then we explain the whole thing. If it was just a viral or a common cold, and I know you want to get better very quickly, but antibiotics is not the reason to do that, or that's not the solution. Maybe you can try drink lots of water, your vitamin C, some rest a day or two, and you'd be fine. So yes, we have many.
Right.
Many.
Yeah.
And for your side?
No, same. I think, we have a lot of patients coming in with an idea of what they want, right? They've already Googled it, like she said, like a brand or like a machine or something. We have a lot of inquiries. For example, I need Pico. Like, seriously? How do you know you need Pico? Have you seen someone about this? What do you need the Pico for? They don't even come to you and say, like, I have this issue and I think I need this. It's just like, I need Pico. Like, okay. Why? Because you've seen it on social media.
Right.
So it's always this, I mean, Google and social media has its good points and it has its bad points.
Sure.
For example, I had a patient yesterday who came to me with fainting spells, and then, she wanted me to do a blood test because she thought she had anemia, and it turns out that she didn't. So then I called and I said, you don't have anemia, but I think maybe you need to see a neurologist if you're having blah, blah, blah. And she said, I Googled and I think I have vasovagal attacks. Like, okay. Yes, a neurologist will be able to tell you this. You know what I mean? It's it's just a different era, honestly. It's, very different. Our challenges are different, I think, these days.
While I find that very, very funny, I'm also like guilty sometimes.
No, that's fine. I mean, it's good to Google. Like, it's great to Google, but you don't
Google, what is this that I have? And I go to, sometimes to you, like, I think it's this. I Googled, or like, with my gynae, I go, I think I have this. How'd you know? I Googled it. And I know it makes me look really, really stupid. Okay, I'm never rude, but I will say, I think, but I don't know.
No, I mean, I don't think it makes you stupid for Googling. I think it just gives you more knowledge, and you get to see things in a wider perspective. But then also needing, when you consult your doctor, at least then it kind of, put either you align, like either your the way that you have decided on something is aligned, or it isn't. And if it isn't, just accept it, and to kind of understand that, like, that, the doctors consulting you or advising you just because they have maybe slightly better knowledge about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not take it personally or be
Sure.
offended,
No,
or
of
like,
course not.
be defensive.
No. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about some of the misconceptions out there now that we're on this topic of Google and, some of your patients' experiences. What are some of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to health, medicine, doctors, clinics, and hospitals? Let's just debunk it right now.
We're not terrifying. Promise. I mean,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, right?
but okay. So that's why I would go and see you because you're not terrifying, and you make me feel like I'm a kid and I can be playful with you, and I love that. But when I go to other doctors, they don't know me and I don't know them. So, it's like any new relationship, right? It's like you want to date, you want to figure out if they're the right ones for you, and vice versa. I still find that very, very intimidating. And like even, okay, Dr. Pramita, who is my gynecologist and also helping me maneuver this perimenopausal symptoms and stage of my life, when I went in, I was terrified. Absolutely terrified. I mean, I heard some great things about her and lots of great testimonials, but it still didn't, I still felt very, very nervous, and I still had a lot of angst.
But I guess that's standard, right? Even when I got here just now,
that's being a human being, right? I mean, I think even if I go and see another doctor, for example, if I had something and I went to see another doctor, I'm also still anxious. Like, oh my god,
if a doctor is saying that, so
for sure,
it's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We don't know everything,
it's the first time, right?
We're not God. We don't know like everything. If something's wrong with us, we still worry. Oh, okay, like what's going on? We still need to see someone. We can't self-diagnose and self-treat ourselves all the time. We still need to go and see someone, who's more specialized, who's better, well-versed in that subject.
But okay, so what's like one or two simple tips? Because you're talking, you're explaining, when you go and see other doctors, you're explaining yourself like you're a patient like any of us. You are no longer wearing that doctor hat, right? Yeah. But so in your head, even when you are nervous, do you have like things that you say to your head and say, okay, I need to breathe, or I need to, is there something that...
Doctors are the worst patients, okay?
Are you serious?
The minute I have something small, I'm like, I think I've got cancer, I'm going to die tomorrow. And she's like, don't be stupid.
God. Yeah. Yes. That's one thing.
You're not helping. Yeah.
So, We're the worst. We always have worst case scenario on like, number one, right? Like,
Is it because you know so much?
yeah, because
Yeah.
we know we have too much insight into the issue.
So basically, you're saying I have no hope.
What we're saying
You better
is,
hope.
correct. What we're saying
Oh,
is
right.
you're way better than
Yeah,
us.
you're better hope.
So
For sure.
we're the worst. We're the worst patients. Yeah. But I think one of the things we want to debunk, I
Yes.
guess, is for me at least in the aesthetic field is that one, we're all about the money. We're not. Two, we're expensive. We're not. Three, we look at patients as cash cows. We don't.
Right.
And that we cut corners or we use machines that are not approved or not registered or FDA cleared or whatever. We don't. Like at Lyfe Clinic, we don't. We actually use everything which is KKM approved, FDA approved. I'm very particular about that. You can ask my staff who's always trying to
very particular.
Yes.
Very.
Yes,
It's
especially-
approved a million times.
Yes,
Right.
Before it turns up at
correct. So I'm very careful what I prescribe, what I do, what I want my patients to be on. If there's someone else who has a suggestion, I'll be like, okay, if you want to do it, you do it, but I'm not doing it. So
Right.
yeah, so I'm very, very careful about what I give my patients because I put myself in that patient's shoes, right?
Yeah.
Like if I was to walk into a clinic and if I was to get a certain type of treatment, I would want the best. And I want to know that it's safe. I know that I'm not going to have a complication or side effect with it. I want to know that my doctor is on my side and not
Right.
looking at his or her,
Ka-ching, ka-ching.
Yeah.
not looking at her benefit or advantage that they're going to get out of it. So that's how I look at my practice anyway. So those are the myths that I would like to debunk.
Speaking of technology, obviously it's a huge priority. Technology and innovation, some of the latest machines, again, not only for the aesthetics, but also with you. How do you stay updated?
Courses, workshops,
Right. So
conferences.
you're still learning as you
Yeah.
go along.
Yes, we
Okay.
have to.
Is that a must? Is that a requirement?
Somewhat, yes.
Okay.
I mean, of course, if you don't want to go, you don't need to go, but we usually go for stuff. I mean, there's so many things, new stuff coming out every couple of weeks, so you need
So how do you differentiate whether some are like just scammy or it's like real innovation?
A lot of studies
Right.
that they kind of prove
So,
to you.
I mean, because we have a license that we need to renew every year, right?
Right.
It's called the Annual Practicing Certificate, APC.
Right.
So we need to go for X number of courses to be able to get X number of points so that we can get our license renewed. So one, in a way, it pushes us to do these things, to go for, talks and workshops and stuff. But it also we need to do it because we need to keep ahead of times, right? We need to be able to know what's coming, the new technologies, what's the new machines that are being that's going to come into Malaysia anyway. Because when I go for international conferences, at least there's a lot of things that is available out there, but it's not available in Malaysia yet.
Right.
So we need to, but then we also have patients, for example, who will say, oh, I just came back from America and, my doctor did this procedure on me. And if I don't know what that is, I'm going to look, like as
Silly.
if I'm not
Right. Up to date.
up to date. So then by going to these conferences, by knowing what's out there, that also keeps me aware so that when I do have international patients, overseas patients coming, I know what they're talking about. I know what has been done. And it, that just keeps you, I guess, on your toes. I guess you just need to keep learning every time.
I mean, I guess even patients, they Google a whole lot, right? So if you don't know, you
Yeah.
look really, really dumb. So I guess that's the reason you need to keep going or keep learning to know what the new meds are and stuff.
Because science is always changing, right?
And there's always a lot of like people trying to, have fakes. For example, Europe will come up with a certain machine and it's, super, it's patented, blah, 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 blah. And then you have Korea like next week coming up with the same machine, 50% technology, 50% like efficacy, whatever. But they've already come up with a machine to just mimic or to copy and stuff. So we need to be aware that these things are out there. We need to be aware and be careful with which we choose, which machines do we bring in, which machines are going to work the best for our patients. So,
Let's talk a little bit more about some of the successes that you both had in the time that you have been entrepreneurs. Like, let's highlight those because I feel like women especially and entrepreneurs, we are so hard on ourselves that we forget some of the great highlights and some of the successes that we do. I want to highlight those, and I want you guys to think about that and share it, because I think us Asians also, we don't really compliment ourselves. It's not in our nature and it's not in our culture. But I want to kind of like break that. And so I want you guys to talk about some of your successes, like success stories. What are they?
We haven't fought till now.
Our friendship has definitely grown stronger.
Oh, I love this. For me, that just
I mean, you hear all these businesses, right? Hello, and look at you guys.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the reason why I appreciate, like, this is a great success story, because, again, obviously your friendship, like, trumps everything else. Is that how you feel?
Yeah,
for
definitely.
sure. I mean, we don't have the same views or the same opinions.
Sure.
But yeah, I think we've always come back to friendship firstly, and we always have separate bad days. So like 2 days ago, I was just like, I just hate this. I can't do this anymore. Blah, 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 blah,
And that was
and
me
then
1 week ago.
Right.
1 week, I can't do it. I'm done.
Yeah.
so we kind of compliment that bit. So then it's like, okay, I'll pull you up today, and then you pull me up tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's how we've been riding this wave.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very proud of the business that we've built. Honestly, we've built it, 2 of us, 3 of us. There's just so few of us that has kept that going, and it's a great place to be. Honestly, I'm happy to come to work every day, just because of the people that we have around us, just because of the patients that keep coming back to us. And they're amazing. So yeah, it's good. We're happy. We're grateful, I think is the word.
So I guess that's my next question was, what keeps you motivated? I guess that you keep each other motivated.
On different days.
Yeah.
And we do things besides work. We play sports together. We go to. She's a foodie and has a food blog, by the way, guys. So
That's it now.
So if there's a new place to go to, hey Nisha, where do we go for dinner today? Where is a good bar to go to? So we do that outside of work, and then of course running the bar and the hostel together. We have those stresses together as well. So yeah.
Health. I think we all take our health for granted. Like 100,000% believe that. And I think we don't focus enough on our health, especially now. If you look at the food in supermarkets, I think 70-80% of them has sugar. And apparently there is over 60 different types of names for sugar, so that they can hide that it doesn't have the sugar that we think. That's really concerning as any human being, as a mother as well, because my children go to the groceries with me and it says, Mom, it says it's healthy on the label. It's very healthy. But I know that's not true. As doctors, like, how concerning is this for you? And obviously, health is a major concern. Do you have anything to say about this?
Eat as clean as you can, so as basic as you can. So like the most natural source of it, the more processed it is, the more stuff you put on it, the more tasty it is sometimes. Sure. I don't think that's right for you.
Because you're a foodie, and that's hard to say, right? I'm a foodie. I love to eat. Like, I really live to eat. But recently, in the last 1 year, I have invested a lot more time and a lot more research and development on the stuff that I eat and the stuff that I cook. Not just for the family, but for my friends and my customers at Bungalow 18. I feel that it's a responsibility now for me. What message do you have to say for our audiences listening about health besides, start eating healthier food, make better choices, anything else?
I mean, I think, come in for your regular checks, get your blood checks done regularly, your BP, your sugar, especially if you have a genetic predisposition towards something, make sure that you're constantly keeping an eye on it.
Yeah.
And then, the world of wellness is up and coming. It's huge, right?
Yes.
There's so many things that you can do actually to improve yourself internally, improve yourself with the various types of vitamins, the various types of injectables that are available to just anti-age yourself, pretty much, right? It's so up and coming. Everyone's talking about it. It's just a matter of time before that catches up, and we get all the approvals, and we're able to provide that to a lot of our patients. Things like stem cells, NAD, all those things are up and coming. It's not approved yet. It's not, it doesn't have the proper licensing, but it will get there at some point. It is going to get there, and we need to be able to accept it. And it's great though, because what that's going to do is it's just going to change everything, right? It's just internally going to improve and rejuvenate and restore. And those are the things that we want to say in terms of being doctors. Like there are options out there, and you just need to be aware that there are options out there.
I mean, I think what you want also as doctors is that we live in a more preventative culture than a reactive culture.
Correct.
Right? Because that makes your job a lot harder as well when you have reactive, the post disease. Right?
Yeah.
It's harder to treat even.
Correct.
But when you're preventive, that's when your jobs also come in a lot more handy.
Yeah.
There's a lot more things that you can do.
Correct. Yeah. Like how you were saying about BHRT, right? Or HRT. So
Yes.
BHRT is so up and coming, and people start it at a very young age, premenopause, like, PCOS patients, premenopause patients. You can start it like way earlier than before having to reach menopause and then go through the symptoms and then trying to correct it at that point. Start early, start BHRT early, so that when you do hit menopause, because we're not preventing menopause, it's going to come. It's just that your symptoms can be controlled, it can be reduced, and you're going to feel so much more better,
Yeah.
So there are things available out there. It's just a matter of just being aware and taking, like you said, taking charge of your health and starting early, prevent things. Anti-aging is huge. So those kind of things are definitely what we would like to tell our
Sorry,
audience.
one last thing. You talked about BHRT. Commonly, we know it as HRT, hormone replacement therapy. But BHRT is biohormone replacement therapy.
Bioidentical.
Bioidentical. So what's the difference between the two? Are they the same things or just different jargons?
It's different actually, because bioidentical is compounded. It's actually made in a pharmacy specifically for you. And the base of the BHRT compound is actually soy or yam protein, which is very identical to the protein cells that we have within us.
Right.
So when we consume it, the cells actually pick it up without having to go through this metabolic process that HRT, because it is a chemically compounded medication using mostly equine or horse urine. So it's not similar to what we have within ourselves. So there's a lot of, sometimes people can have reactions to it, but with the bioidentical, because it's identical to what we have within ourselves, it gets taken up better, it gets taken up easier by the cells, and you can take it for long term without having any complications or side effects.
So as you're saying, just to close it off on this topic, is that anyone can take BHRT and not necessarily have to go through peri menopause, right? As a preventative.
Correct.
And when you say as a preventative for
the symptoms that you would develop when you hit menopause.
Got it. Even for males, actually.
Yeah,
for
correct.
male testosterone.
Andropause.
Yeah,
when they're going through
andropause as well.
andropause symptoms as well.
Yeah. I'm on a HRT now, on a very low dosage. I'd like to think that this is the right step. I think this is the right step because I have seen improvements in my well-being. Not everything, but it's only been very, very recently. But for the audience out there, so there are always options.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
You just need to invest in time and speak to the right doctors
Correct.
for you.
Yep. Correct.
Great. Ladies, thank you so much for your time. This was fun, Dr. Nisha.
Thank you for
I know this
having
is your
us here.
first podcast, so I've broken your podcast V words, right? Dr. Angie, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for all the time that you put onto your patients and for caring.
Thank you.
We're so glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you for tuning in to Business on the Rise. Don't forget to follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel.